Good morning, Salt Lake City, Utah. It's mighty early there, but we appreciate you waking up with us on this Monday morning. And welcome back to you as well here on American Sunrise. First Lady Melania Trump has a message to Vladimir Putin. The First Lady is encouraging Putin to consider the children whose lives are at stake should the war continue. Melania Trump also writing that if the war is ended, humanity will be served and not just the world. Her statements come after President Trump met with Putin in Alaska on Friday. He's meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today at the White House. For more, let's bring in former Defense Intelligence Agency officer and author of the book, Putin's Playbook, Russia's Secret Plan to Defeat America, Rebecca Koffler. Rebecca, good morning.
Good morning.
So let's first of all dive into your expertise on Vladimir Putin. Can Vladimir Putin be trusted? The Trump administration seems to believe that movement was made, that there was some positivity that came out of Friday's meeting, that concessions are seemingly being made. When it comes time to sign the dotted line, can Vladimir Putin be trusted? Can he be trusted to keep his word?
Absolutely not. At the big picture, no, we cannot trust Putin. Putin is a highly trained former KGB officer, extremely skilled at manipulation. Now, when it comes to the peace deal, President Trump wants to achieve. Putin has high respect for Trump. It's a very business-like transactional relationship. Putin does want to conclude peace, but he wants to conclude it on his terms. And because he holds nearly all the cards, he's playing hardball, and he has a very strategic level objectives, not just a short-term ceasefire, but he wants to conclude, to reform the entire Russia-US relations and to undo everything that President Biden did in reaction to Putin's invasion. So it's going to take time. If President Trump is going to be patient and take small, gradual steps, that's feasible. Otherwise, no.
Brian?
Yes. You know, Rebecca, what does it mean that other European leaders are joining Zelensky in this meeting? Is it some type of support? Maybe provide some feedback? What does it mean to have them join Zelensky this time?
Well, the European leaders are very concerned that the deal that is going to be struck is going to favor Russia and not Ukraine. Well, that is because Putin actually has done his homework. He was preparing for this war for the past 20 years. And I described in my book, Putin's Playbook, the entire Russian warfighting strategy. Putin transitioned his military and economy 7 years prior to the invasion. He sanction-proofed his economy. So he is ready, and that's why the Europeans really have no cards, and they shouldn't be derailing what President Trump is trying to do. The Europeans, and I personally briefed NATO in September 2013, just a month prior to Putin's invasion of Crimea, and I laid out at the classified level Putin's plans, his intentions, his mindset, how Russia fights, the entire Russian warfighting strategy, and yet the Europeans did not want to do anything about it. They just either didn't believe it or simply they're not interested in paying for their own security, in developing a counter strategy. They pretty much outsource everything to the United States, you know, relying on our taxpayers' money, on our weaponry. And now they're coming in for what? They're trying to draw some red lines for President Trump, but they can't enforce those red lines. They don't have the military capability, and they don't have the strategy. So they should just back out and let President Trump do his magic and implement his art of the deal.
Rebecca, so much is being made of the potential of Ukraine having to cede property, cede land, specifically the Donbas region, for instance, that's likely, at least at this point, that's the talk, that's likely going to be something that Ukraine will lose. While that's all the conversation, is the bigger issue that's not necessarily being addressed the potential for security confirmations for Ukraine, the fact that the United States says it is willing to help secure Ukraine and make sure that Russia doesn't encroach anymore. To me, as an outsider looking in, that seems to be so critical, even beyond the land.
It is critical. Well, on the land first, that land has already been captured by Russia, and there's no way Russia is going to give it away. It's 20% approximately in Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. So we should just drop, like you said, Terence, we should just drop this discussion. On security guarantees, it's, again, a very complicated issue because what Ukraine wants, what Zelensky is demanding, is an Article 5 security guarantees, which means that if Russia does another invasion or makes like an extra advance towards the land that doesn't control right now, then the United States would deploy forces into the battlefield on Ukraine. Now, that would trigger escalation into the nuclear realm. Again, as a DIA intelligence officer, I led red teams during war games. We war gamed this scenario dozens and dozens of times. A Russia-United States conflict escalating out of a situation that we're experiencing right now in Ukraine. Exactly that scenario. And every single time, gradually, the war went into the nuclear realm. Not directly, but it starts off with crippling cyber attacks, crippling space warfare operations, and then all the way into nuclear. The Russians have advantage in tactical nuclear arsenal, right? That's why when President Trump actually, during his first term, he ordered our military to develop a capability, a sea-launched cruise missile equipped with a nuclear warhead to counter Putin's escalate to de-escalate doctrine. Well, when Biden came to power, he canceled that program. And that's one of the reasons Putin invaded. And so security guarantees, yes, we can promise it, but it actually must be enforceable. And President Trump promised on his campaign trail not to get entangled into foreign wars anymore. And nobody wants to fight a nuclear Russia because there's going to be no winners in that war. So we need to be, and President Trump knows what he's doing. He's a highly intelligent man, obviously. He's a strategist. So, and he's trying to also balance like his message to send a signal to us that yes, things are happening, but it's going to be a very, very long process. So we just need to be patient, but we shouldn't have any false expectations.
All right, Rebecca Koffler, we appreciate your perspective. It is going to be an interesting day. I think that's probably an understatement, but we'll be watching what happens at the White House. Thank you, Rebecca.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on today.
Of course. Coming up, a possible breakthrough in the war against cancer. A new trial is underway to see if the new immune response can fully eliminate tumors from coming back. We've got the details next here on American Sunrise.